Love Song Podcast, Love Song Media Production. I'm T Love. As you can see, I am still solo, and hopefully this is the last episode I'm solo. PK is off at church camp with his family. We hope they are doing well and having a great time and learning about Jesus and all the different things that the friendships that you build at church camp. I've been to several myself, and I think it's a wonderful thing. And of course, PK being a pastor, that's what they do, right? Want to start with PK section. We want to thank our sponsor, Shirts and More, out of Wheeling, West Virginia. They are sponsoring all of our garb that we wear on set. They do a fantastic job with the polos and the tees and the jackets and the sweats, all the things that Tracy, Dana, Braxton, we couldn't ask for a better partnership. If you have a need, or if you want to order some garb, some Love Song Podcast garb, please give Tracy, Braxton, or Dana a call at 304-232-2030. Tell them that Love Song sent you. I'm absolutely confident they'll take care of you. Today is Free For All Friday, and we're going to do a little Richard Nixon version today. We're going to be short and quick, going to get in, get out. That's what happens when I don't have my partner with me. But President Richard Nixon resigned on August the 9th, 1974, to avoid near certain impeachment and removal from office following the Watergate scandal. The resignation was ultimately triggered by these key events: the cover-up. Operatives linked to Nixon's re-election campaign broke into the Democrat National Committee headquarters in 1972. Nixon actively participated in covering up the administration's involvement, attempting to obstruct FBI investigations and pay hush money to the burglars. The White House tapes. Investigators discovered that Nixon had secretly recorded all conversations in the Oval Office. When subpoenaed, these recordings provided direct evidence of his complicity in the cover-up. Articles of impeachment. In late July 1974, the House Judiciary Committee approved 3 articles of impeachment against him: obstruction of justice, abuse of power, and contempt of Congress. Faced with a nearly unanimous consensus that the full House and Senate would vote to remove him from office, Nixon chose to resign, becoming the only U.S. president in history to step down from the position. For a detailed breakdown of the timeline and history, I ask you to go to read the National Archive Museum's feature on his resignation. It's very, very interesting. President Richard Nixon resigned, as I said, on August the 9th, 1974, not because of a secret shadow conspiracy, but to avoid near certain impeachment and conviction by the U.S. Congress due to the documented Watergate scandal and cover-up. However, the unprecedented event sparked several popular conspiracy theories, which is what we do here on the Love Song Podcast, right? We take historical data and we go put it into modern time and just let you draw your conclusion as to what you see. Number 1, the CIA setup conspiracy. One of the most persistent theories suggests that the CIA orchestrated the Watergate break-in and subsequent exposure to force Nixon out of office. The motive. Proponents argue that Nixon was actively demanding that the CIA hand over sensitive files related to the JFK assassination and the Bay of Pigs, which the agency wanted to keep buried. The evidence. Theorists point out that the ex-CIA officers were involved in the break-in. Furthermore, the White House aide, H.R. Hadelman, later suggested in his book, The Ends of Power, that the agency deliberately sabotaged the break-in to frame Nixon as part of a larger cover-up. Number 2, the deep state military coup. Stemming from the chaotic final days of Nixon's presidency, some theories suggest that top military and intelligence officials carried out an internal administrative coup. The mechanics. In his memoir, Nixon's chief of staff, Alexander Haig, is heavily criticized by skeptics who suggest Haig manipulated the release of the secret White House taping system, forcing Nixon out and effectively running the country during Nixon's final desperate weeks. J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI. Another theory is that the FBI leaked the details of the Watergate break-in to Washington Post reporter Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein as an act of political retribution. Proponents point to Deep Throat, later revealed to be Associate FBI Director Mark Felt, and suggest that the FBI allowed the break-ins to happen to destroy Nixon's committee to re-elect the president, CREEP, creep. The communists, you can't make that up. That's crazy. The communist subversion theory. Radical groups, including the Communist Party USA at the time, propagated the belief that Nixon's administration forced resignation was an orchestrated plot by monopoly corporations. According to the narrative, the political establishment used Watergate to unseat Nixon because he was growing too close to Dente with the Soviet Union. I probably didn't pronounce that right. And they wanted to cooperate appointed unelected leader Gerald Ford to take control. Keep in mind that President Ford is the only president that has ever held the position that was not elected president or vice president. He was appointed by our government. What could be wrong with that, right? The factual consensus, despite these theories, the History.com Watergate overview and the findings of the Senate Watergate hearings point to a proven conspiracy by the Nixon administration rather than against it. The forced resignation ultimately resulted from the smoking gun tape, which proved Nixon had ordered the CIA to pressure the FBI into dropping its investigation. This shows the global elites, along with parts of our federal government, have been part of, colluded with, or covered up the following: the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln, the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, forced resignation of President Richard Nixon, placement of President Bill Clinton, 9/11, COVID, J6, assassination attempt of former President Donald J. Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, right before he was famously reelected, the Iraq War, Syria War, Libya War, Sudan War, 227,000 Somali refugees placed in America under Barack Obama, the Ukraine money laundering, the Minnesota fraud, the California fraud, the 2020 election scandal. I told you we were going to be quick today. I did that in under 10 minutes. PK would be proud of me. Here's what I can tell you. I didn't put it in here because I want to do a special on this one day, but I am going to tell you that President Nixon was putting a lot of pressure on the pornography industries here in the United States. If you go and look up who owns one of America's leading pornography sites, you're going to find that it is a Jewish rabbi that owns it. Upon his resignation and then his vice president stepping aside as well, Gerald Ford took over, and he undid all of Nixon's policies to get rid of the pornography industry, and thus you had Hugh Hefner and what was the other guy's name? I can't remember. But that's where all of that derived from. I think the Watergate Commission was bogus, just like the 9/11 Commission, just like J6 Committee, just like the Warren Commission of JFK. Keep in mind that the United States government was going to put Ghislaine Maxwell on the 9/11 Shadow Commission. Yeah. Ghislaine Maxwell. Her father, Robert Maxwell, Mossad agent. Ghislaine Maxwell, partner with Jeffrey Epstein, part of the biggest global trafficking, human trafficking pedophilia ring on this planet's history. And George Bush 43 selected her to be on this commission. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican. You're being lied to. You're being brainwashed into thinking that one side's better than the other. It's not. They're both compromised. They're both corrupt. And they're both complicit in all of the cover-ups. Why do you think that we have, 500-something elected officials in Washington, D.C., and if 500 elected officials can't get the Epstein files released? Are you kidding me? Kennedy was taken down because he tried to take down Israel. He was not going to pay their money. He was going to go around the global banking system, not use the Federal Reserve. He wanted to inspect their nuclear arsenals. They killed him. Nixon was going to shut down the pornographic industry, which the people from that part of the world, they run that industry. And I'm not trying to be anti-Semitic, but the Jewish people run the entertainment business, whether it be Hollywood, whether it be music, whether it be pornography. Go look it up. That's a fact. We have let these people destroy our country. We all... Listen, I voted for Bush 43. I think he's he's probably the worst Republican president ever. Second to his dad. And then you got Clinton and Obama. And listen, Clinton did a great job as president. But he couldn't keep his zipper up. He's got a lot of problems. He's connected to Jeffrey Epstein like nobody's business. There's two theories to why the Epstein files don't get released. One is Donald Trump is protecting his friends. Number two is Donald Trump's protecting his own backside. The problem I have with either one of those, I don't care. I don't care whose friends are involved in it. It needs to come out. I don't care that Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Bush, Trump, Dershowitz. I don't care. I just don't care. When you go back and you look at the cover-ups, and I just listed, I don't know, there's about 15 of them, maybe 17. Lincoln, Kennedy, Nixon, Clinton, 9/11, COVID, J6, Trump, Iraq War, Syria, Libya, Sudan War, the 227 Somali refugees, the money laundering that went on in Ukraine. Listen to me. You want to tell me that Russia could not have wiped out Ukraine? Are you kidding me? And we're in Iran right now fighting a war against a bunch of people that they claim can't have a nuclear weapon. China's got one. North Korea's got one. Pakistan's got one. Israel's got 223 nuclear warheads. And Benjamin Netanyahu is going around blowing up anybody and everybody in the Middle East that he can get his hands on. It's called the Greater Israel Project. Free-for-all Fridays are always fun because we just kick it around, throw out stuff, and all that kind of jazz, right? There's a lot of conspiracies here about Nixon. I don't think Nixon was a bad guy. I just think, like Carter, he surrounded himself with bad people. And it's not that they intended to, but the deep state is so deep. It's a swamp. It's a cesspool. I want those Epstein files released because I want to drain the swamp of every last one of them. And when I say every last one of them, I mean every last person, including those people who are elected that are supposed to be defending and serving and protecting the United States of America and its people, not covering up for pedophiles. Hakeem Jeffries, Mike Johnson, Lindsey Graham. All the people on the Democrat side, all the people on the Republican side, there's not a single person sitting in Washington, D.C. that doesn't know about all this crap. You're either complicit or you're incompetent. And either way, you ain't fit to be an elected official. Episode 21 is in the books. PK will be back next week, I hope. Until we see you then, God bless.